Okay, welcome everybody to the Attica County Board of Commissioner meeting. Today's Thursday, February 13th. It's 10 o'clock in the morning, and we're in our regular board session. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Bustecker, prayer please. Please pray with me. Lord, we ask for your guidance here today to make the best decisions for the people of Seneca County. We also thank you for the first responders and their actions for the last week in Attica with the train derailment. Also ask protect those people on the roads and on the sidewalks and everything in Seneca County as the weather has been poor. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Roll call.
Commissioner Paradiso,
Here.
Commissioner Franker,
Here.
Commissioner Bustecker.
Here.
So at this time, I'll accept the motion to approve the digital audio recording of our previous board session on Thursday, February 6th.
So moved. Second.
Okay?
Commissioner Bustecker,
Yes.
Commissioner Franker,
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso.
Yes. All right, first on the agenda, we have a proposal opening. I'll turn it over to Barb.
Okay, Cheyenne's got the sign-in sheet that she'll pass around, everyone needs to sign in. And then I have one proposal, this was scheduled for Thursday's meeting since we were postponed, so we will open it now. It's for the 2025-2026 Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG Administrator. The proposal was sent out for request, and the administrative fee would be $25,000 based off of the proposal. And the only one that I have is from Fostoria Economic Development Corporation. And I will provide the three of you with a scoring sheet. I know there's only one, but we still need to follow all protocol to score. And then, once I get those scoring sheets back, we will award the actual contract to them.
Is it for 3 years?
It's actually
Just
2 years,
2025?
2025, 2026. It's 2 years.
Okay.
And they would be providing all of the administrating of the community development block grant.
You want to add anything? Yeah.
Explain.
Well, basically
Basically-
the auditor and then how we're kind of doing it.
Yes.
Regional planning.
So, yeah.
Mr. President.
Yeah,
regional
right.
planning.
Yeah, so, CDBG was always under regional planning, and so since we've kind of refocused that, we moved the grants over to FEDC, and they are also going to, now with the bid, we have to put out for a proposal for the administration for the CDBG. audit.
Take
So,
it from regional planning.
Yeah, well, just,
Well,
yeah, put it out, yeah.
Regional planning did bid on it.
Correct.
Right, so Julie did that.
Right, yeah, regional
There you
planning did
go.
bid on it since our grants have moved over to FEDC. That kind of makes it kind of an in-house, working with the townships, the villages, and the county stuff on that then, so.
I like
Yeah,
it.
so that's kind
You
of
like it?
more or less a one-stop shop for whatever they need to have for all the different grant availability stuff on it, so.
Okay, so no vote needed?
No.
We'll move on to the next thing. I don't see any, okay, so next on the agenda, we have a proclamation for Ohio Loves Transit Week. And I do not see anyone here from North Central Area Transit, but so Commissioner, I'll let you explain what we're doing, and then maybe we'll.
Yep, so we have a
Run it out to them
proclamation,
or
yep,
something, right?
we're going to offer a proclamation for the public transportation. I'll just go ahead and read it, I won't take that
Sure.
long. So, for proclamations for Ohio Loves Transit Week in Seneca County. Whereas public transportation is a vital service that improves the quality of life for residents, supports local economies, and assures equitable access to essential services such as healthcare, education, and unemployment opportunities. And whereas the Seneca County is proud to support its public transit system North Central Area Transit, which provides accessible, reliable, and affordable transportation options for our community members. And whereas Great Lakes Community Action Partnership Mobility Management Program works diligently to enhance transportation options, fostering greater independence and access to resources for our county's most vulnerable populations. And whereas Ohio Public Transit Association has designated the week of February 9th through the 15th, 2025 as Ohio Loves Transit Week, a time to celebrate and acknowledge the significant contributions of public transit systems and mobility management throughout the state of Ohio. And whereas services provided by NCAT and GLCAP's Mobility Management Initiative are integral to ensuring that all residents of Seneca County have access to safe, efficient, and sustainable transportation options. And whereas we, the Seneca County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim the week of February 9th through the 15th, 2025 as Ohio Loves Transit Week in Seneca County, and call upon all residents to join us in recognizing the invaluable contribution of our public transit services, including NCAT and GLCAP's Mobility Management Program. We encourage citizens to appreciate and support the continued growth and improvement of public transit services in our community. And whereas we extend our deepest gratitude to dedicated individuals and organizations who work tirelessly to ensure that success and accessibility of public transportation in Seneca County. In witness whereof, we, the Board of Seneca County Commissioners, hereunto set our hand to this proclamation this 13th day of February in the year of our Lord, 2025. Commissioner Anthony Paradiso, Bill Frankert, and Brett Bustecker.
Okay, good, nice comments. Brent, anybody?
So we're actually a week late since we didn't have a meeting last week, so that's good.
So I
I'll
think
make sure they
we
get
just
it.
send that out to them.
Yeah, I'll run out to them.
Okay, good job. Any other comments? Okay, now we have a special guest, John Spar, Seneca County EMA Director, is going to give us an update on the Attica train derailment.
Do you want me up?
Whatever you want to do.
That's fine.
Yeah,
Well, I'll make sure I can look at people. How's that?
probably be a little better.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, just to give you an update on what's happening out in Attica right now. The cars, obviously, in the last week, of course, this is going to be a week tonight at 8:19 that this train came off the tracks. So there were about, I think there's about 19 cars laying over there, mostly tankers, a couple of bin cars, like a coal bin car, and there was a bin car for cornmeal that went over. Most of that's all been cleaned up. At this point, they're emptying the ethanol tankers for transport. And it's got to be done very carefully. It's got to be done very specifically by overpressurizing the tanks, forcing the ethanol out. So they use nitrogen to push the liquid out and into over-the-road tankers. No, they're basic semi-tankers. They're taking them up to Bellevue Yard and then putting them back into tankers on rails and then back off to wherever the shippers wanted them. All those tankers look the same. All of those tankers had the same stuff in it, but they weren't all owned by the same shippers. There are several different companies that were shipping ethanol on that line on that night. So they have to contact each one of those shippers and find out where do you still want this to go, how's it going to go there, so they have to get that information back. They're able to do about 2 of those cars a day, get those emptied. So they should be emptied by the end of the week. That's where we're at. Once they're empty, they need to be cleaned. And that's to make sure there's nothing left inside that's going to create an explosive vapor, etc. So once they're cleaned and marked and opened up to the air, they'll bring in crews whose job it is to cut them apart. They aren't just going to pick them up and set them on something and try and ship them out. They're too heavy. They need to go by rail, and that's not going to really work out. So they're going to cut them apart on site and get them off site. They'll put them on flatbeds or cut them down to parts that can go into dumpsters, etc. That's how they're going to get the tankers out. Once that's cleared out, then they'll start taking soil samples for where the spill happened with ethanol to determine how far down and how far out they need to remediate the ground. So we expect that to happen somewhere at the beginning of March. And then they'll come in and they'll dig it all out. They'll dig out and continue testing until they've gotten all of the contaminated dirt, soil, clay, whatever out of there. That's the timeline. They cannot tell us exactly when that digging will occur because the testing takes a certain amount of time. They gotta bring a contractor in to do that testing, et cetera. But that's where we're at today. It's the second day of offloading ethanol into tank trucks. They started yesterday. They do have one of them, maybe 2 tankers that are sitting on the site are now empty, but uncleaned. So they still have some vapor issues inside. And once they get them all emptied, they'll start cleaning out the inside of them so they can cut them apart. Are there any questions?
Any idea how long 224 will be closed?
I think right now, and I haven't heard this officially, but the point, they're not opening up that 224 there until they get the dangerous fumes out. So as soon as they get that out, they'll be able to repair that section of track, the section of road that crosses the track, and they'll be able to open up 224.
Could be a while.
By the end of the week or next week, they can start probably working on it because they'll have the tankers emptied by the end of the week and start cleaning them next week. So once that's taken care of, I think they can start. Unless it's a matter of we need that space for the cutting apart. So it could be a couple of weeks, I suppose. But that's a question I'll bring up to them.
How many tankers leaked?
One. Well, one tanker of ethanol leaked.
Okay.
One tanker of corn syrup leaked, which there was no danger whatsoever, but it was just, it was something to see, frankly.
Do you know where the soil's going?
So I know the corn syrups was, remediated by pouring a bunch of stuff in it. They put it in barrels and they shipped it up to Erie County. There's a landfill in Erie County, that's where that went.
I'm more concerned about the ethanol.
Right, and I'm not sure because I've been told that it's going to Erie County, and I've also been told it's going to Wind Waste. And I don't know what, how much, or where, but they're not digging it up yet, so I don't know. That was in my report last week. When I heard that, I put it into my report last week, and that report went to Representative Click, and then I asked somebody to send it on to Senator Reineke, so they're informed of what I heard. I've been given no plan. I was told by EPA, this is where they're saying this stuff is going. And that's all I have on that, that's all I know. Any
Which
other
EPA
questions?
is there, state or federal or?
State right now, if we have problems, we'll be calling federal. But actually, state EPA will engage federal, so. But right now, it's just Ohio EPA.
It seems unreal that 224 would be closed this long. That's a main artery.
There's very dangerous chemicals right next to that road, right next to it. And a lot of work being done right on that road. So I have, now, there is a pretty close detour now. Now, the night it happened, I had to drive way out of my way to get around to the other side of that. But once they cleared the rest of the train out, you were able to take Fair Lane, that road that runs by the fairgrounds, you were able to go out and around to the backside. But the first time, I had to go all the way to Township Road 104 and go all the way out. And that was a long, I think that was a 8-mile detour to get to the other side. So it's a little more accessible at this point.
And I think the EPA kind of contact Archie Lundsey, correct, if there's any questions and stuff on that.
If there's questions about EPA stuff, you can contact local EPA. There is an 800 number to call, and they'll put you in touch with somebody who's working on this specifically. My contact is an on-the-ground responder, EPA responder, and he's been out there pretty much every day. I've been out there every day with him. So just keeping tabs on.
John, when does the village of Attica meet next? You might want to go to that meeting.
Yeah, I not off the top of my head, I don't know what it is. It might be in my calendar.
Yeah, twice a month, I believe. It's probably a good idea to go to that and give them the same update. Maybe a more detailed update
Okay.
would be good. And then if it's okay, not this Thursday, next Thursday, can you come back
Of course.
and give us an update?
Sure.
Okay.
And watch your emails, because I do send out email updates with the
Doing a great
EPA's
job.
updates. So,
Attica Fire did a great job.
Yes,
EMS
they
was
did.
out there.
yes, they did.
Yeah, so.
Everybody-
I was out of town, but,
Yeah, I was, I got called, I guess it happened at 8:19, I got called at about 8:20, 8:20 something, and I was out there at 9, and the whole place was just activated. It was something to see. And I was there till 4 AM, I think.
No,
Back out at 8.
so far.
So everybody did a great job, great job. And we dodged the bullet, for certain. I mean, we didn't take down any power poles. Only one power line came down, was fixed within an hour, and that was ethanol. So if we had leaked ethanol with a sparking power line, this could have been a lot worse. But it was about the best scenario you could ask for. So, okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Thanks, John.
I'm going to head down to work on some 911 stuff, if you don't mind.
Are we, did we receive our quote for the IT upgrade in the room there?
No, not yet. I haven't received anything from him yet, but I can check with him and see what he's got. And I'll send it to you. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Good. Good.
It should be okay.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I came here today to address the issue of my no longer working here because I'm heartbroken that I can no longer serve the residents of Seneca County. You have to excuse me, I'm getting over being sick. I've spent over a year pouring my time, effort, and heart into trying to help them. Over and over again in the past few months, promises were made to me and then things changed. Most recently, at the February 6th meeting, you all agreed to offer me the original contract after the communications policy was approved. During the meeting, Commissioner Frankert asked Barb if you were going to move forward with the contract, and she said yes. Yet later that day, she sent me only the policy. She then told me the next day, on Friday, February 7th, that I would not be offered the contract. So the decision to offer the original contract was made in a public meeting, and yet I was not offered the contract after Barb changed her mind. Several weeks ago, you told me that my 2025 contract would include an annual increase of $6,500 as compensation for the good work that I do for this office. You told me several times over the past weeks that you're very happy with my work and that you want me to continue as the Seneca County Media Relations Coordinator and that I would receive the increase. You also told me you wanted to develop a communications policy that would go into effect at the same time. You held off offering me the contract until the policy was created because my contract and the policy were tied together. I needed to know how the policy defined my duties before I could make a decision on the contract. I made one request, that the policy please not include language that had the potential to damage my professional reputation. Barb agreed to that, and I thought you would all agree to that, but that changed. You kept telling me that we would meet to discuss the policy, but those dates kept being changed and postponed until it eventually became necessary to extend my contract to the end of January. In January, Commissioner Paradiso asked Barb and me to create a policy together. Commissioner Frankert and Commissioner Bustecker were happy with the policy we created, but Commissioner Paradiso was not. On Thursday, January 30th, one day before the extension of my contract would expire, Barb presented to you commissioners a new draft policy that she had created by herself. I had not worked on it nor seen it. I asked if I could be a part of the discussion, and she said no. After talking with all of you, Barb came to me and told me that you had agreed on the policy and the contract, and she handed them to me. She told me she had added wording to the policy that she said has to be in there. As it turns out, the wording she added has the potential to damage my professional reputation. Accepting the contract based on the policy she handed me was my only option. Although I was originally asked to help create the policy, that changed, and I was now not invited to even discuss my concerns about it with anyone. I had no voice in this. My only options were to accept or reject your offer. With no visible support, I emailed that I could not agree to the contract. So I was very happy when this office then contacted me and opened the door to further negotiations. During a phone call on Monday, January 3rd, Barb apologized to me for putting the damaging words in the policy. She said she didn't initially recognize its potential to harm me. She said she recognized it then, and she apologized profusely and said, "I am not the kind of person that would do that to you." But then, the very next day, on Tuesday, February 4th, Barb asked me to meet with her in person to discuss the policy, and suddenly, overnight, everything had changed again. She said she was keeping the wording in the policy, the wording that she had apologized for. I asked her why it needed to be in there when putting the language in there could harm me, and she said nothing. I asked her why she wouldn't simply remove a few unnecessary words from a policy to protect me, and again, she said nothing. She then told me she had decided to change my contract. She decided to decrease my duties and my compensation. She said she would hire someone else to do the rest of my work. I asked her why she made that decision, and she was silent again. I asked her if she was unhappy with my work, and this time she had an answer. She said that she and the commissioners have been very happy with my work, and she said she knows I work very hard for the commissioner's office. I asked her what changed in one day when she was happy with my work that made her decide to decrease my work and compensation, and again she was silent. Our conversation then ended by Barb asking me if I was willing to sign a contract with decreased work and compensation because that was the only offer I would get. I said no, I could not, for financial and practical reasons, even consider that. I sent her a follow-up email saying I was still open to negotiations. When I walked into the meeting with Barb on Tuesday, February 4th, I had already decided to sign the original contract even if she refused to change the wording on the policy, but I was not given that option. I made the decision to sign the contract anyway based on two things. First, an elected official reached out to me to say the wording was unjust and definitely had the potential to damage my reputation, but she encouraged me to take the hit so that I could continue to serve county residents. Secondly, many people in the community reached out to all of you, asking you to renew my contract, and that cemented my decision to want to keep working here. I don't understand why you no longer value the work that I do here. I have written countless press releases about this office and many feature stories on local residents and events, as well as numerous proclamations for residents and organizations. I've attended countless meetings on county business, and I've stepped in to attend meetings and represent the county when none of you were able to. I've written and processed numerous press releases for other county departments, easing their workload and helping to promote them. I've made connections with TV news media that have helped promote this office and other offices and people around the county. I spent the last year and 4 months researching and studying landfills and watersheds and solid waste districts. I've written testimony for you for House hearings and Ohio EPA meetings. I've written for you letters to state representatives and Governor DeWine. I visited state representatives in their Columbus offices, by Zoom, and in coffee houses around the state. I've made connections with the Ohio EPA and the Public Utilities Commission of Ohio. I have worked countless hours utilizing my skills and the knowledge I've gained to help the residents of Seneca County. Many Fostoria residents living near the landfill told me that they felt alone and abandoned by this office before Commissioner Frankert was elected and started helping them. And they expressed gratitude that I joined him in trying to protect them. You need to understand that your decision about my position can once again make the residents of Fostoria feel like you don't care about protecting their families. I don't understand how you could change from offering me $6,500 more a year for compensation for good work to turning against me for reasons you will not voice. If you still refuse to offer the contract to me and hire someone else, you will lose your greatest advocate. You will not find anyone who cared more about the four of you than I did. You will not find anyone more willing to make sacrifices to protect you and the residents of Seneca County than me. I've proven that with my actions. When the OSS director falsely accused you of spreading untrue propaganda in an effort to frighten the public, I publicly defended you and made enemies in the process. and Commissioner Paradiso, you emphatically thanked me for that. I've spent over a year working very hard to protect and promote the residents of Seneca County. I have made personal and professional sacrifices to protect all of you. As I said earlier, you agreed during the February 6th Commissioners' meeting to offer me the original contract now that the policy was approved. I called Commissioner Frankert after the meeting to verify that you were referring to the original contract with the added compensation. He said he had talked to Barb after the meeting, and she said yes, she was referring to the original contract and she would send it to me that day. I did not receive it. I would be grateful if you would follow through on that decision so we can return to working together to help the residents of Seneca County. I am very, very grateful that there are people here today that came to support me, and I know some of them would like to speak with you. So Dr. Clay, would you like to go first?
Hi, I'm Dr. Clay Wolf, President of the Board of Health, Seneca County, and a member of the Republican Central Committee. Can I ask you, commissioners, how many, like, outside of being commissioner, how many employees you have? Mr. Frankert, Commissioner Frankert?
Yeah, I've had, 3 or 4 employees.
At the farm?
The farm, yep.
Okay.
Hundreds.
Hundreds? Okay.
Numerous.
Right. How many times have you had employees that come into work all the time and come in for more hours than they're paid for? I haven't had that. The work pool has become so inept and inefficient. This is somebody that is a huge asset to Seneca County, who I see her more than, I'm not saying that you guys don't do a tremendous amount of work. I see her more than some other people in the county. And she's done tremendous amount of work for us. And to lose her would be ridiculous. I mean, I've never seen anybody that puts in so much time and effort and actually cares about her bosses and goes to the mat for everything that you guys do. So it would be a huge loss to lose her for this county. So that's all I have to say. Thanks.
Someone else want to? Mr. Diesel?
I brought her on a couple words since I heard some rumors of what was happening here. As we all know, the county is in an ongoing PR battle with public nuisance number 1 over at Fostoria. The commissioners can't be wavering in your commitment to bring that place under control. Sherry here has been a valuable asset to you in that effort and in many other ways. You need her. You need her badly. She's a real pro at what she does. The landfill is operating without a license and continues to be a thorn in your side. They have the county tied up in court trying to ignore your health department orders. This issue is not going away. This is no time to go soft on it. It must remain a top priority. A stern and ongoing PR narrative is absolutely necessary. Your vote here today on this contract renewal, if you decide to vote on it, is super important. 90% of the voters in this county want closer oversight of that landfill. Your individual votes on this resolution will be very telling. It will show us just where you stand. The 90% are watching. It will get super embarrassing for this board and very telling about you individually if you back off on this landfill issue by not voting to renew Sherry's contract. And that's what I have to say about it.
Thank you. I don't know if there was anyone else that wanted to talk.
I would just like to say I was shocked when I heard that you were going to fire Sherry. She's been nothing but, I can't even begin to say what a beautiful person she is. I love her. And I think you're digging yourself in a hole if you're not gonna keep her on, because she has brought transparency. She's brought respect when I think people thought the commissioners didn't really care. And I highly recommend that you keep her.
Thank you.
My name is Don Kuhn, that was my lovely wife. I don't have a lot to add, but I do want to say that I'm in full agreement with what I've heard today. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Only thing I gotta add is, it's, me and Sherry spent lots of hours in meetings and the landfill meetings, 5-hour meetings, you know. And then she goes back and writes articles on the landfill meeting, as she provides the county's aspect of the meeting, which is good. I provide my aspect of things, and then obviously we have the AT and we have WTO all that come down, so that it gets a different perspective on the story. So it's good to have a county perspective on things, and keeping that going would be good to have all that.
Thank you.
That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go on commissioner reports.
So I guess I'd like to follow up on
Yeah,
that.
let you go first.
So, at the February 6th meeting, it was, you know, we voted on the policy and then, you know, said that, you know, the contract would follow that in an open public meeting stuff with that. And for some reason it hasn't been done, so I guess if we need to solidify, I'd like to put the motion out to approve the contract with Sherry Trustee that was offered originally and stuff to her, and keep her on. I think she does, you know, just not only landfill stuff, but I mean, we've got a barrage of other county entities, there's, you know, that you know, she's worked with to put out, you know, our branding, to put the word out that they don't have the access to put, you know, things out with. So that's my motion on it, Mr. President.
Okay. So are you saying that last meeting, when we passed the policy, we passed her contract? I didn't
Yeah,
look.
27 minutes in, yeah,
I
that
don't
was the,
remember that.
yeah. So
I
that was,
don't
Do you
recall
remember
that
that?
either.
it's in the minutes, anybody can, you know.
Did you say
listen.
pass Sherry's contract?
Yes, that, yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Do you remember that?
I don't recall that.
We could play it if you guys,
Well,
and Barbara even said after the
so-
meeting you was gonna send it out. We had that conversation too.
If I can interject, during the meeting at that point, he was talking about, Commissioner Fergus said, so we are going to move ahead with the contractual agreement, and Barb said, yes, we are.
Yeah,
And then
it's in the
afterwards, he
minutes.
talked to her and said, you were talking about the original contract, right? She said,
That
yes.
is not how I took that conversation.
That's how it was presented to you, Barb. And after the meeting,
That's
did
how
I
I
not
I
go?
didn't understand it that way either.
So we
Barb,
don't.
I went after the meeting and you said, yes, you're.
I was going to say, you asked if I was sending out the policy, and I said yes.
Contract too, Barb, come on now, because.
I'm not
it's
gonna
all-
argue, I'm not gonna debate this in public.
No.
It-
so
it-
But this
So
is where it needs
we have
to
a
be
first,
debated
do we have a
because it's a
second?
public situation.
We have a first, do we have a second?
Very telling, very telling.
Move on. Finish your report, please.
Okay, I'll start. So Monday, February 10th, I was over to Foster Economic Development. They had a housing roundtable, basically that any of the entities that, you know, deal with housing, just to kind of put everybody in the same room and talk about the different options and stuff with that, from the Welcome Home grant that they received, the $2.75 million, and then a lot of different aid from GeoCap, Habitat for Humanity, and other ones in there and stuff on it. So good meeting, just kind of, you know, put everybody in the room so that way they can maybe do some collaborative efforts outside of that effort. So Tuesday, hosted the Farm Bureau policy meeting out to our farm, and had a decent turnout for that. Commissioner Busdecker was there, and thought it was a nice event. Did some roundtable stuff, and talked about, so that way they can go to Columbus and kind of lobby for some policy and stuff on it. So that brings us up to today.
Good.
Well, I mean, considering this would have been last week's stuff. Yeah, last week had Family and Children's First Council's first meeting I attended, so it was, again, getting a lot of new experiences at a lot of different events. Tuesday, I also went out, as he said, to his Farm Bureau event. Bill spoke. There was a bunch of different people asked a bunch of interesting questions. That was good to listen to. And went to Board of Elections. They had an event for certifying primary votes. Primary candidates. David Kale was recognized for the years he put on, all the years he put in. I just like to say thank you, because I know he did a lot of great stuff. Then Lori took me for a tour around the Board of Elections facility, got a chance to see of the way some of the stuff sits and works, and that's kind of neat, so I enjoyed that. So went to Port Authority board meeting. I was supposed to do the cooking show for the Kiwanis event last week, and that ended up being canceled.
Well, we lucky he was just, they canceled before he got it made.
Famous dessert over there.
Well, I'll admit I didn't make it, my wife made it.
It's a family
And I,
affair. that's-
and I ate it.
Does it count?
And I did eat it.
Well, you and your daughter made it, right?
That is probably the closest thing I could say up to date we didn't have yesterday, so.
I will follow up on Brent with the Board
Yeah.
of Elections, so David, you know, at last meeting, so Linda Davis from Bettsville is gonna be taking his spot then, so that's who the new.
Who's chairman?
I
Board?
think, well, I think they're
Or
gonna
they
reorganize
organize
in
next
March,
week.
yeah, so yes, so. yeah. So I just wanted to follow up on
Anything
that.
else from you guys? So I want to address Sherry a little bit, Mr. Fiesel. I'm a little offended when the commissioners are criticized for not supporting the landfill. I don't think that's a fair statement.
I think it is.
I think, since I've been here, Bill came on board. We've testified in Columbus in front of the Senate. We've worked hard to get SB 119. I've been going to OSS meetings for 2 years, trying to get money for the Board of Health. Been working my butt off to do that. We've supported Sherry in her efforts. And I also think that Dr. Wolf, you've hired people. I don't tell you if you should hire them or not hire them. I don't tell you if they're doing a good job or not. So this is something that's the 3 Board of Commissioners and our county administrator have to deal with. Our county administrator, Sherry, or anybody in that position reports to the county administrator. It's very important. There's a working relationship there. Okay? We have offered and we will continue to research we've offered Sherry a part-time job to cover the landfill. She doesn't want to do it. Is that my fault? Because they're not hiring her full-time?
Okay, can I ask you, Commissioner, why you went from offering me $6,500 more a year just a week ago for...
We offered you a contract,
Yeah.
you turned it,
Can I
you didn't take
interject?
it.
Can
We have a
I
new
finish my
commissioner.
sentence, please? May I finish my sentence?
I'm giving my report, so,
Okay.
no. Go ahead, you're up.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff about the changes in the contract did have to do with me, because I question a lot of what tasks, when we talked about an additional pay increase, was to do things, and I start to ask questions like, why do we do certain things? And I didn't understand the clarification why we would add certain tasks. As far as I understand, there are very few counties in the state of Ohio that actually have a communications person, and most of those are very large cities. We have a very small county, tight budget, and then we sit here and we end up doing tasks for other departments that should be done by them. And for me, that is a concern. And we look at, okay, we didn't want this contract, and then the contract that was then presented to you was like decreased on probably a lot to do with what I had to say. So I'm gonna defend that Barb was doing some of the things that after I had spoken, said, do we really need someone doing those tasks? And then we all roundabout talked through you, and then the discussion appeared to me was that we were going to try to stick with trying to have you do stuff towards landfill and nothing else.
But
And at that
I
point,
can't,
I'm still speaking
financial...
to, hold on. And then those other tasks, we were gonna table, and we weren't gonna go back to that stuff till months down the road. And you did not want a part of that, just that. And I understand that maybe that doesn't work for you, but that's what in my thought, my eyes, that's what was available. Was just do the stuff for the landfill. And everything else, we need to sit back and think about where we go from here. Isn't necessary that we write stuff for every other department in the county. That's where I stood.
May I speak now?
Sure.
Okay. First of all, that's what I was hired to do. That was one of the main jobs, was to do writing for other departments. That's when Jimmy when Jimmy was training me, he said that's one of the main things you do. He goes, you go out and you make connection with people and you do the writing for them. So that was part of my duties. As far as you said that, most counties don't have this. I know that Commissioner Paradiso has said before, most counties don't have a communications person, and he was so grateful that he did because of all the ways that I've helped you and supported you and protected you and done work. I've done a tremendous amount of work. I was first hired to just write a few press releases, and I just got engaged in the landfill fight and with everything else, and my work just kept continuing. I was doing so much work overtime for free is why they kept extending and giving me more hours. And then I don't understand, what I was saying is I don't understand how you can go from just for weeks and weeks telling me up until very recently that you're so happy with my work, that you were going to give me $6,500 more a year, to saying, well, now we're going to decrease and give you less hours and less time. And you make it sound like I don't care about the landfill if I won't take those less hours. I'm a working woman. I'm not a rich person. I work because I have to pay my bills, and I can't just take a decrease in pay. This is my second job. I can't get a third job and practically in the hours make that work. I'm already just trying to organize two jobs together, and I make that work very well. I very rarely have to say no to any of you. I will work at midnight to make it work, and you all know that. I work 6 in the morning, I work 12 at night. And so practically speaking, I cannot say, yes, I'll only work on landfill stuff and take less pay and go get a third job. That's just not practical. And it's also not fair. So can I ask you, what happened that made you go from wanting to offer me $6,500 more a year to wanting to offer me less money?
Sherry, so we're going to end this conversation. I appreciate your comments.
Can I ask you to answer that question?
I'm going to end the conversation. I appreciate your comments. There's a lot more to it. You said your side of the story. We have our side of the story. And as far as landfill, we're spending thousands of dollars, Mr. Wolf, Dr. Wolf, for an environmental attorney to help advise the board. So our commitment as county commissioners is way, way more. We're trying to get out and form our own solid waste district. Media person aside, we will figure out the media part, okay? And if it's with you or not with you, we're going to move forward. But I'm not going to get into a debate, negotiating among ourselves why we came to this conclusion. Okay, so we're going to move on. So I conclude my report. We'll go on to county administrator report.
One quick follow-up, Tony, I'd like
Sure.
to just,
Go ahead.
with Brent. So previously, talk about saving money for the county, we all feel that way. So we went from a full-time media relations person, PRS, insurance, everything, to a contracted service that saved us a substantial amount of money and stuff like that. That was one of the avenues to look at. And like I say, that I think you can only get, you can only file things down so thin. So that's just the savings part, how we got to this position. That's just so you know, that went from an employee to a contracted to save, the county money and to get the word out for our branding and stuff on it. So that's
Okay.
where I'm at, so.
Barb?
I just have a few things. Just bring you guys up to speed. Tony and I met with the Newmans out at the airport last week to discuss some information in regards to extending the runway as part of our master plan. And then I want you to be aware that next Monday I will be going to Columbus for some training that CCAO is putting on. That would entail budgeting and HR, and I believe there might have been a couple of other items, but I will be attending those things. And as far as sales tax, I do not have any sales tax numbers for the month of February yet. Waiting on those, they should be posted. I should have those on Thursday's meeting. Other than that, I have nothing else.
Any old business? Good sub-apps.
I have two from the general fund. The first one is for transfers out of $207,858. This is for the USDA farm lease, or the USDA lease that we get from them that we transfer out of general fund. And then I have a couple of transfers for soil and water and one for the law library that will need to come out of that fund. The second is for reclaimed estates and warrants in the amount of $2,000. This is money that is put into the county's general fund until it gets claimed by someone that is a claimant of the estate, and the auditor's office process 2 payments for an estate.
Too late, like a year's?
Yeah,
Couple years.
it could be a period
the
of
auditor
time,
tells us.
but the auditors, yeah, they get
Okay.
notification, and so those were just claims for an estate. That's all I have for supplemental appropriations.
Okay,
So move.
I'll second that. Roll call?
Commissioner Bustaker?
Yes.
Commissioner Frankert?
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso?
Yes.
For resolutions, I have a resolution authorizing fund transfer be made to soil and water. This is in the amount of $145,358.
Can we do these one at a time?
Yep.
Okay.
So move.
Second.
Commissioner Bustaker?
Yes.
Commissioner Frankert?
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso?
Yes.
Resolution authorizing fund transfer be made to soil and water fund. This is for the flood portion of, how did it's a grant account that we have within the general fund that we give to soil and water in the amount of $160,000.
Make the motion.
Second.
All the task over there. Roll call? We have a first and a second.
Commissioner Bustaker?
Yes.
Commissioner Frankert?
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso?
Yes.
Resolution authorizing fund transfer be made to soil and water in the amount of $10,000. This is for the floodplain management for 2024.
So move.
Second.
We do these every year?
Yep,
This
every
just
year.
Seems like a lot.
We usually do them all at one time.
Yeah, well, no, okay.
Commissioner Bustaker?
Yes.
Commissioner Frankert?
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso?
Yes.
Resolution authorizing fund transfer be made to the county law library fund in the amount of $12,500. This is proceeds from the auction.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
You need any discussion on that? You good?
Yeah.
Okay, we're good.
Deserved, yeah.
I'll say
Go
it.
ahead.
So, the county discarded old books and bookshelves, and the law library approached us that some of those goods, were theirs, and
Auction, not discarded.
Auction.
That's why we like to
Yeah.
check. See, it never changes here. So we met with them, and then we agreed to basically split the proceeds that we received from the sale of law books and bookcases with the law library, and everybody's happy. So that's what that is. Total, we raised net after fees, it was what, 28,000, 29,000?
$27,000.
27,000 something. The majority of it was, law books and
Majority was the bookcases
and the
that we
bookcases.
had.
So
Mhm.
this settles all that. Thank you. So we have a first and second? Okay, roll call?
Commissioner Bustaker?
Yes.
Commissioner Frankert?
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso?
Yes.
The last resolution I have is the resolution authorizing the contract between Seneca County Board of Commissioners, the Common Police Court of Seneca County, and the Mental Health Recovery Services Board of Seneca, Ottawa, Sandusky, and Wyandotte counties. This is for, I believe, this is for a Mental Health and Recovery Services Board to do all of the fund reporting necessary for the courts.
Okay,
Make the motion.
Second.
roll call?
Commissioner Bustaker?
Yes.
Commissioner Frankert?
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso?
Yes. Any other business for the board?
That's all I have.
Okay, we'll open up to public comment. Anybody have public comment? Mr. Bryball, you want to speak?
I have to make a comment.
Yes, sir.
I've been coming here for over 20 years. I've seen this office change so many times. I have never heard or seen anything like this. That's the end of my comment.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, meeting adjourned. Thursday.